Hello, my name's Ethan. For 9 years, I've been married to Rachel, the most confident, driven woman I've ever met. She's an internist, brilliant at her job, and someone who once inspired me with her unshakable ambition. But now, that same confidence feels like a wall I can't see over, like she's hiding behind it. We met in college, me, a finance major with a love for spreadsheets, and her, a pre-med dynamo who moved through life like a storm. Rachel didn't just have dreams. She had plans, and she followed through on every single one of them. I loved that about her. I still do. But somewhere along the way, her certainty started to eclipse mine. When she was right, I was wrong. When she needed something, I adjusted. It wasn't resentment. Exactly. More like a quiet erosion of balance. Still, we've made it work. Even through Rachel's grueling hours at the hospital and the sleepless chaos of raising our 4-year-old daughter, Lily, I believed we were a team. But now I'm not so sure. Something feels off. Like I'm watching a play I thought I knew by heart, only to realize someone swapped the script. Started small a few weeks back. Rachel came home later than usual, later than even her demanding job would explain. She looked rattled. When I asked about her day, she mumbled something about a complicated consult and disappeared into the shower. That wasn't like her. Rachel's always carried her work stress like a badge of honor, recounting her long shifts in vivid detail over a glass of wine. But that night, it was as if she couldn't get away from me fast enough. I chalked it up to exhaustion until it happened again. And again. The late nights, the clipped responses, the strange, distracted energy. It wasn't just the hours she kept. It was the way she looked at me, like her mind was somewhere else entirely. Then came the night I found her downstairs at 2 a.m., sitting in the dark with her phone's glow lighting her face. I'd gone to bed hours earlier, but something woke me, a vague unease. When I saw her on the couch, I asked if everything was okay. She jumped, startled, and told me she couldn't sleep. She said she was checking work emails. But why lock her phone the second I walked in? I tried to brush it off, but it was harder when the evidence started piling up. A necklace I'd never seen before wedged under the couch cushions. A dinner receipt for a restaurant we hadn't visited together. The faint trace of cologne clinging to her scrubs. A scent I knew didn't belong to me. Still, I hesitated to say anything. Rachel's job is demanding. I told myself I was imagining things. That stress was playing tricks on my mind. But last night, I found something I can't explain away. A second phone. It was buried in her gym bag of all places, where I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't been searching for one of Lily's toys. It wasn't her work phone, different model, no hospital branding, and it definitely wasn't the phone she uses at home. I didn't touch it. Couldn't. Just seeing it there was enough to make my stomach churn. Why would she have another phone? She's never mentioned it. And if it were for work, why hide it? I didn't confront her. Not yet. I need to know more first. But the questions are eating me alive. Is it nothing? A coincidence? Or is there something happening just out of sight? Something that could shatter everything we've built? Rachel smiled at me this morning like nothing was wrong, but I felt hollow inside. I don't know what's real anymore. All I know is that I'm standing on the edge of something I don't fully understand, and every step forward feels like it's about to give way beneath me. What is she hiding? And how much longer can I pretend not to notice? After I found Rachel's second phone, I told myself I'd wait for the right moment to confront her. But waiting wasn't easy, and neither was pretending nothing was wrong. Every glance, every word between us felt loaded. I started seeing mysteries everywhere, even in things I once wouldn't have thought twice about. A week passed, and Rachel was busier than ever. More emergency shifts, more late nights, and a growing list of small inconsistencies. One evening, while cleaning up after dinner, I noticed something strange. Rachel's car keys were sitting on the counter, but when I picked them up, the key fob for her car was missing. Just the house key and gym tag remained on the ring. "Hey, did you lose your car fob?" I asked as casually as I could. Rachel glanced up from her laptop, a faint furrow in her brow. "Oh, I must have left it at the hospital. I used a staff car the other day. It's been a madhouse." Her explanation sounded plausible, but her tone didn't. It was clipped, rushed, as if she was trying to end the conversation before it began. The next day, while she was in the shower, I went to her car. I don't know what I was expecting to find. Maybe something that could explain the missing fob, but the car was locked, and the backup key was nowhere to be found. That wasn't the only thing that didn't add up. Over the weekend, she got a text from her sister about plans for the following Friday. I overheard Rachel reply, "I can't. I'm on call." But later, I saw the hospital schedule she'd left on the counter, and her name wasn't listed. I thought about asking her directly but held back. I didn't want to sound paranoid or worse, push her into hiding more. Then there were the phone calls. Late at night, when she thought I was asleep, Rachel would slip into the bathroom or the living room, her voice hushed as she spoke to someone. Once I caught the tail end of a call. She said, "I'll handle it. Just trust me," before hanging up quickly when I walked in. "Who was that?" I asked. "Hospital admin," she said, barely meeting my eyes. "Budget stuff. Boring." But she didn't seem bored. She seemed nervous. When I checked our shared credit card statement again, I noticed another Uber charge. This one from a hotel downtown. My chest tightened as I stared at the transaction. I almost called the hotel right then, but what would I even say? Could have been for a conference or a meeting. It didn't have to mean anything. I told myself not to jump to conclusions, but the doubts kept piling up. The coffee cup photo from the second phone still lingered in my mind. Why was it the only thing on the device? I magnified the image on my computer, searching for clues. A logo, a reflection, anything, but it told me nothing. Then, on a whim, I searched Rachel's car key replacement in her email account. That's when I found something unexpected. A receipt for a locksmith. The date on it matched the day she said she'd left her fob at the hospital. Was she lying about the car entirely? Or was I letting my suspicions get the better of me? Things came to a head a few days later when I decided to call Dr. Chase's office directly. I'd been avoiding this, afraid of what I might learn, but my curiosity won out. His assistant picked up, and when I asked to confirm Rachel's last meeting with him, she hesitated. "I'm sorry, Dr. Chase hasn't been in the office for 2 weeks. He's on vacation," she said. The world tilted beneath me. If Dr. Chase was on vacation, who had Rachel been meeting? That night, Rachel came home late again, smelling faintly of lavender, a scent she never wore before. As she kissed me on the cheek, I felt a flash drive in her coat pocket. I pulled it out, holding it between us like a grenade. "What's this?" I asked. She looked startled, then smiled too quickly. "Oh, it's hospital data. Nothing exciting." I didn't believe her. Not entirely. But the more I pressed, the better she played her part. By the end of the night, I almost convinced myself she was telling the truth. Almost. I'm caught between two versions of reality. In one, Rachel's behavior has an innocent explanation. Stress, overwork, a secret project. In the other, she's hiding something that could destroy us. I just don't know which one is real. And the harder I try to figure it out, the more tangled everything becomes. I knew I couldn't confront Rachel without proof. Real proof. Not circumstantial clues or gut feelings. If I approached her too soon, she'd either shut me down or spin a story so convincing I'd question my own sanity. So I waited, watched, And finally, I set the trap. Rachel had been unusually open about a team dinner she had to attend on Friday night. She even showed me the email invite, a forwarded message from her boss outlining the details. It seemed legitimate, but her eagerness to share made me suspicious, like she wanted to establish an alibi before I could ask questions. I played along. "Sounds nice," I said, pretending not to care. "Hope the food's good." As soon as she left the house that night, I put my plan in motion. Beforehand, I'd reached out to Jeremy, my cousin who works as a private investigator. I told him everything, the second phone, the lies, the mysterious late nights, and asked if he could tail Rachel for the evening. Around 8 p.m., Jeremy called. "She's not at a restaurant," he said, his voice low. "She parked at the Regency Hotel downtown. She's in the lobby with another man." My heart felt like it had stopped. "Can you see who it is?" "I think it's the guy you mentioned, Dr. Chase. They're sitting close, talking. No touching, but it's intimate." I gripped the phone, trying to think clearly. "Stay with them. Let me know if anything changes." An hour passed, then another. I couldn't sit still. Jeremy texted updates every half hour. They ordered drinks, lingered in the lobby, and eventually took the elevator upstairs. When I saw the message, they just went to room 807. The air left my lungs. I was frozen between rage and heartbreak. Part of me wanted to drive to the hotel and pound on the door, but I knew it wouldn't get me the answers I needed. I had to wait. Rachel came home after midnight, heels in hand and a faint smell of wine and perfume trailing her. She smiled, but it was strained. "Sorry I'm late," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. Dinner ran long. I stared at her, feeling like a stranger in my own house. "How was the hotel?" Her head snapped up, the smile fading. "What?" "The Regency Hotel. Room 807. My voice was calm, too calm, like I was watching the scene play out from a distance. "How was it?" Rachel's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "I was at the dinner." I stepped closer, my voice sharper now. "Don't lie to me, Rachel. I know where you were. I know who you were with." Her eyes filled with panic, but then something shifted. She straightened her shoulders, her expression hardening. "Have you been following me?" she demanded. "Don't turn this around on me," I said. "I wouldn't need to follow you if you weren't lying. Just tell me the truth. Are you seeing him?" Rachel's hands trembled as she clenched them into fists. "You don't understand," she whispered, tears spilling over. "Then make me understand," I shouted. "Explain the hotel. Explain the secret phone. Explain the messages." For a moment, I thought she'd confess. Her defenses cracked, and the guilt in her eyes was undeniable. But then, she said something I didn't expect. "It's not what you think," she choked out. "I wasn't with him for the reason you think. I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" I said, my voice dripping with disbelief. "From what?" She didn't answer right away. Her breathing was shallow, and she looked at me like she was weighing whether to tell me everything or double down on the lie. Finally, she said, "There's more to this, Ethan. I can't explain right now, but you have to trust me. Please." "Trust you?" I laughed bitterly. "After everything I've seen? After everything you've hidden from me?" She stepped closer, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. "I swear, it's not what you think," she said, her voice desperate. "Just give me a little more time. Let me fix this." "Fix what?" I demanded. "What have you done, Rachel?" But she wouldn't say. I was left standing there, more confused and angry than ever. If she wasn't having an affair, then what was she hiding? And why did it feel like the walls were closing in on both of us? The trap had worked, but instead of clarity, all I'd uncovered was another layer of mystery. When Rachel first told me she was protecting me, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After months of secrecy, lies, and late-night disappearances, the last thing I expected was for her to claim she'd been acting in my best interest. But as I stood there in the living room, staring at my wife, disheveled, tear-streaked, and visibly shaking, I couldn't ignore the weight in her voice. Protecting me from what? Rachel? I asked, my voice quieter now but still laced with anger. Just tell me the truth. She hesitated, biting her lip like she was trying to find the right words. Finally, she sat down, clutching a throw pillow to her chest. It's not an affair, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. It's bigger than that. I folded my arms, staying rooted in place. Start talking. She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed. Do you remember the research grant Chase and I worked on last year? The pharmaceutical study? I nodded, the memory vague but familiar. Rachel had spent months poring over data for a new trial, a project that had consumed most of her time and energy. What about it? It wasn't above board, she admitted. Chase manipulated the results, pushed it through despite safety concerns. I didn't know at first, but when I found out, I tried to pull the plug. What stopped you? Her hands trembled as she gripped the pillow tighter. Chase did. He told me if I exposed him, he'd make it look like I was complicit. He's been gathering dirt on me for months, fabricating emails, doctoring spreadsheets. He even had fake patient reports with my name on them. If this comes out, I won't just lose my job. I could go to prison. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and suffocating. I wanted to be furious, but the desperation in her voice kept me rooted in place. And the hotel? I asked, my voice low. The burner phone? The texts? Explain those. I've been trying to gather evidence, she said quickly. Every meeting, every call. I've been recording everything. I was waiting for the right moment to go to the authorities, but I couldn't do it without putting you and Lily at risk. Chase made it clear he wouldn't just come after me. He'd destroy you too. Me? I echoed, confused. Rachel nodded, tears streaming down her face. He knows about your firm, Ethan. He's been digging into your finances, looking for leverage. He said if I didn't cooperate, he'd fabricate evidence of fraud and send it to the SEC. He knows people, Ethan. Powerful people. My legs felt weak, and I sank into the armchair across from her. Why didn't you tell me this months ago? I thought I could handle it on my own, she admitted. I didn't want to drag you into it. Didn't want you to look at me the way you're looking at me now. The room was silent except for the sound of her quiet sobs. I rubbed my hands over my face, trying to make sense of everything. Rachel wasn't just hiding an affair. She was caught in a web of blackmail, fraud, and corruption. And now it seemed so was I. But there was something she still wasn't telling me. I could feel it. Is that everything, Rachel? I asked, my voice sharp. Or is there more? She hesitated, and that pause told me everything. What else? I demanded, my patience wearing thin. She swallowed hard. There's someone else involved, she confessed. Who? Her eyes darted to the floor, her voice trembling. The pharmaceutical company behind the trial. They're not just a sponsor, they're orchestrating all of this. Chase is working for them, and they have resources, connections. I didn't realize how deep it went until it was too late. I sat back, stunned. This wasn't just about a corrupt doctor and a botched trial. This was something bigger, something far more dangerous. What do they want from you? I asked. Rachel looked up, her expression haunted. Silence, she said simply. As long as I keep my mouth shut, they'll leave us alone. But if I don't, she didn't have to finish the sentence. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I stood up, my mind racing. We're not doing this anymore, I said firmly. No more lies, no more games. We're taking this to the authorities. Together. Ethan, you don't understand, she said, panic rising in her voice. These people don't play fair. If we make a move, they'll come after us. After Lily, then we'll fight back, I said, my jaw set. I'm not letting Chase or anyone else hold our family hostage. Rachel stared at me, her eyes wide with fear and something else. Hope. Maybe. You'd do that? For me. I knelt in front of her, taking her hands in mine. I'm furious with you, Rachel. You've lied to me, shut me out, and made me doubt everything about our life together. But you're my wife, and I love you. We'll get through this. But only if we do it together. Her lip quivered, and for the first time that night, she let out a sob of relief. The road ahead was going to be messy, probably dangerous, but one thing was clear. This wasn't just about our marriage anymore. It was about survival. And if Chase or his puppet masters thought they could destroy us, they were about to find out just how wrong they were. I thought nothing could hurt more than the initial suspicion. The long nights of doubt, the gut-wrenching realization that Rachel was hiding something. It felt like I was being torn apart. But when the truth came out, it wasn't the cut I expected. It was a slow, searing burn, the kind that lingers long after the wound is made. Rachel's confession wasn't a confession at all. It was a desperate attempt to reframe her betrayal, to twist the narrative just enough to make herself the victim. I wanted to believe her story about Chase blackmailing her, about her covert mission to gather evidence. For a fleeting moment, I thought we could claw our way back from this nightmare. But then came the photo. The deleted image told a story she couldn't spin away. A hotel room. Rachel smiling like she didn't have a care in the world. And behind her, Chase, half-dressed, lounging on the bed like he owned the place. The timestamp ripped through me like a knife. It was from one of the many nights she'd claimed to be working late. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed to be sure, completely, undeniably sure. So I turned to Jeremy again. He dug deeper, finding receipts, texts, and call logs that painted a damning picture. Chase wasn't blackmailing her to protect his fraudulent trial. He was blackmailing her to keep their affair a secret. And Rachel, she'd let him. Not because she was scared for me or Lily, but because she didn't want her reputation ruined. When Jeremy handed me the evidence, I felt something inside me crack. It wasn't just betrayal. It was the shattering of a life I'd thought was unbreakable. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She couldn't. Her face crumpled the moment I showed her the photo, and the truth came spilling out in broken sentences. 5 months. 5 months of sneaking around, lying, and making me question my sanity. It wasn't supposed to happen, she said, tears streaming down her face. I didn't mean to hurt you. Didn't mean to hurt me? I repeated, my voice shaking. Rachel, you destroyed me. You destroyed us. She tried to explain, to say it had started as a mistake, a moment of weakness that spiraled out of control. She claimed Chase had manipulated her, that he'd preyed on her stress and her insecurities. But all I could see was the image of them together, laughing behind my back, turning our marriage into a joke. What about the blackmail? I asked coldly. Was that just another lie? Her silence was answer enough. I felt sick, like the ground beneath me was giving way. I couldn't stay in the room with her. I walked out, slamming the door behind me, and drove aimlessly for hours. When I finally returned home, the house was dark. Rachel was asleep on the couch, a blanket pulled over her shoulders. I stood there for a long time watching her. This woman who had been my partner, my confidant, the mother of my child. How could she do this? The next few days were a blur of anger and heartbreak. Rachel begged me to stay, to go to counseling, to give her a chance to fix what she'd broken. But how do you fix something that's been so thoroughly destroyed? Then, another twist came. Jeremy called with one final piece of information, something he'd uncovered while digging into Chase's background. It wasn't just Rachel he'd been involved with. There were others, nurses, admin staff, even patients. Chase had a pattern of manipulation, preying on vulnerable women and using their secrets to control them. Rachel wasn't his first victim. This should have brought me some sense of relief, but it didn't. If anything, it made me feel worse. Rachel might have been manipulated, but she still made her choices. She still betrayed me. Now I'm standing at a crossroads. Divorce feels inevitable, but Lily complicates everything. How do I explain this to her? How do I rebuild a life when the foundation has crumbled beneath me? Rachel says she wants to fight for us, but I don't know if I can fight for her anymore. I'm angry, shattered, and lost. What I do know is this. The man I was before this all started is gone. What comes next? I have no idea, but it won't include Chase. And it may not include Rachel either. The past few weeks have been a blur. I've been living in the aftermath of Rachel's betrayal, grappling with feelings I never thought I'd have to confront. Betrayal, anger, grief. Each one hitting me like waves crashing against a shore, relentless and unyielding. After I called the lawyer, I took a hard look at my life, trying to figure out what came next. Claire's words stayed with me. Asterisk, what do you want? Asterisk, it should have been an easy question, but nothing about this situation is easy. I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't keep living in limbo. So I made a decision. This morning, I sat Rachel down in the living room, the same place where so many of these painful conversations have unfolded. Lily was at preschool, and the house was quiet, save for the hum of the refrigerator. Rachel looked nervous, like she already knew what was coming. I've made up my mind, I said, my voice steady. She gripped the edge of the couch cushion, her knuckles turning white. Ethan, please, before you say anything. No, I interrupted. You've said enough. It's my turn to talk. I took a deep breath, letting the silence stretch between us. I can't stay in this marriage, I said finally. The words felt heavy as they left my mouth, but also liberating. For weeks, I'd been caught in this web of doubt and second-guessing, trying to salvage something that was already broken. But now the clarity was undeniable. Rachel's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. Ethan, don't do this. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. I don't think we can, I said, cutting her off. You didn't just betray me. You lied to me repeatedly, and you made me doubt everything I thought I knew about us. I can't live like that, and I won't let Lily grow up in a home where trust doesn't exist. Her sobs filled the room, but I didn't waver. For the first time since this all began, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. Later that day, as I packed my things, my phone buzzed with a message from Jeremy. Asterisk, found something you need to see. Call me ASAP. Asterisk. I stepped outside and dialed his number. What is it? I asked, bracing myself for more bad news. Jeremy's voice was grave. It's about Chase. I dug deeper into his background like you asked. Turns out, he's under investigation by the pharmaceutical company he was working with. They suspect he's been embezzling funds from the trial. I frowned, trying to connect the dots. What does that have to do with me? There's more, Jeremy said. Chase might have been using Rachel as a scapegoat. The fake emails, the forged documents. He wasn't just threatening her to keep quiet about the affair. He was setting her up to take the fall if his embezzlement came to light. The ground seemed to shift beneath me. Are you saying she really was being blackmailed? It looks that way, Jeremy said. But here's the kicker. Chase was never working alone. The higher-ups knew about the fake trial data. They approved it. My head spun. This wasn't just about an affair or blackmail anymore. Rachel had been caught in a web of corruption that went far beyond anything I'd imagined. That night, I sat in the guest room, staring at the ceiling. The anger I'd been clinging to felt hollow now, replaced by a strange mixture of pity and guilt. Had I judged Rachel too harshly? Could I have done more to help her when she was struggling? But then I thought about the photo, the texts, the lies. No matter what Chase had done, Rachel had still chosen to betray me. She could have come to me, trusted me, let me in. Instead, she'd shut me out, leaving me to piece together the shattered fragments of our life on my own. In the end, I made peace with my decision. Divorce wasn't just the right choice for me. It was the only choice. Rachel and I sat down with a mediator a week later to discuss custody arrangements. We agreed to share custody of Lily, splitting time as evenly as possible. I made it clear that I wanted to shield her from the ugliness of what had happened. And for once, Rachel didn't argue. Now I live in a small apartment on the other side of the town. It's not much, just a couple of rooms and some second-hand furniture. But it's mine. It's a fresh start. Lily comes over on weekends, and we've already started making new traditions: Saturday morning pancakes, movie nights, trips to the park. She's the light in all of this darkness, the reason I'm still standing. As for Rachel, I've barely spoken to her outside of arrangements for Lily. I don't know what's going to happen with the investigation into Chase or the pharmaceutical company, and honestly, I don't care. That's her battle now, not mine. But there's one thing I can't shake: the feeling that this story isn't over. Chase might be out of the picture, but the people he worked for, they're still out there. And if they were willing to destroy Rachel's life to protect their secrets, what's to stop them from coming after mine? For now, I'm trying to focus on moving forward. It's not easy, and some days are harder than others. But I'm learning to let go of the anger, to make peace with what happened. This chapter of my life is over. The next one is waiting to be written. If there's one thing this ordeal has taught me, it's that life rarely follows the script you expect. People are messy, relationships are complicated, and sometimes the truth is as much about what you choose to see as it is about what's really there. For a long time, I clung to the idea that Rachel and I could fix this, that love, history, and sheer determination would be enough to patch the gaping holes in our marriage. But the truth is, love without trust isn't love at all. It's an illusion, a mirage that fades the moment you get too close. When I made the decision to file for divorce, it felt like stepping off a cliff. Even now, I'm not entirely sure where I'll land, but I know this: staying in a marriage built on lies would have destroyed me. And more than that, it would have set a terrible example for Lily. Looking back, I see the cracks that led to this collapse, small at first but widening over time. Rachel and I stopped prioritizing each other. We let work, stress, and the routine of daily life chip away at our connection until all that was left was the facade of a perfect marriage. Here's what I've learned, for anyone who might need it: trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, pay attention. Your gut is often smarter than your heart, and ignoring it only delays the inevitable. Speak up early. I wish I'd addressed my concerns with Rachel when I first noticed her behavior changing. Maybe it wouldn't have saved our marriage, but at least I wouldn't have spent months drowning in doubt. Prioritize transparency. Relationships thrive on openness. Secrets, even small ones, can fester and grow into something unmanageable. If you can't share your truth with your partner, ask yourself why. Know your worth. Betrayal isn't about you, it's about the choices someone else made. Don't internalize their actions as a reflection of your value. Healing isn't linear, and it's okay to feel conflicted, angry, or lost. Give yourself space to process. Lean on your support system. Don't be afraid to ask your friends, family, or even the online community for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You're not alone. protect what matters. For me, that's Lily. No matter how messy things get between Rachel and me, I'm determined to shield her from as much of the fallout as possible. Someone once told me, every betrayal begins with a choice. That idea stuck with me. Rachel chose to betray me, yes, but I also made choices. I chose to ignore the signs, to rationalize the inconsistencies, to believe in an image of our marriage that no longer existed. The real lesson here? We're all responsible for the choices we make, whether they lead to heartbreak or healing. As I move forward, I'm learning to make better choices, to listen to my instincts, to value honesty above all else, to let go of what's gone and focus on what's ahead. If you're facing a betrayal of your own, know this: you're stronger than you think. The pain won't last forever, and the decisions you make today can set the course for a better future. And if there's one thing I've learned about life, it's this: sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set you free. So, do you believe Rachel truly felt remorse for her actions? Or was she just sorry she got caught? Please let me know in the comments below this video. Thank you for listening. Bye.